And in our area, a lot of businesses were going under at that time, especially when the pandemic first hit. And that's why this show was born, so that we could build businesses from around the world. So actually 80% of my clients are from the United States. And so therefore, we really, with the pandemic bringing an even playing field to everybody, like your business can be done worldwide, and things like that. So I love that. And so yes, and this is just one of the things that to give back to the business community. And my friend from Tim says, hey.
Hey Tim. Yeah, and it's exciting. And now that we're out of COVID, I'm really embracing, not meaning to be cliche with the name, but my company, which is called Embrace Rec, and it's about recreational therapy and recovery, because I also specialize working with people through trauma. And so I can tell you a little bit about the various things that we do at my company.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
Guide me.
First of all, before we get to that, because I always like to show people, their personality, their personal side a little bit. So share with us a little bit about your overcoming story, because I know everybody has one.
Yeah.
So if you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my story, I grew up in Windsor, born and raised, but my childhood had adversity. My parents divorced when I was young. My biological father had some mental illness, and he did some terrible things at his own hands. I did experience child molestation, and that was very hard. For many years, it happened. And then when I was in grade 9, I disclosed to a teacher and took him to court, and all kinds of stuff happened. But I really became depressed, and I got anxiety. And I learned at a very young age to be silent, that I was a secret. And it was terrible to go through. But I do believe that what we go through creates who we become. And so in my mid-teens, I went through high school, got accepted to university. I ended up meeting my high school sweetheart in high school, and he was this great Christian man, high values, good family. We later got married. We had 3 beautiful children. I had the home, I had the career, I worked at the hospital, I was educated, I had a degree. The kids, the car, the career, like you check the boxes, right? But there was something still inside of me that was struggling. And I remember staying up late at night reading on my little Kindle a book that really changed my life. And the book was Married Women Who Love Women. And I knew that I was born bisexual. I was very attracted to the same sex. And it was so heart-wrenching to make the decision, do I stay knowing that it's compromising my mental health, or do I set him free too so that he can experience true happiness? Right. And so in 2019, I left my marriage after being together for 21 years. And I dismantled my marriage in a way that we celebrate co-parenting together for our kids and for our new partners. And we have this incredible family. One of the key things he said to me when I first left was, I'm glad that you met Faith, who is my wife, because you can be the person you were always meant to be and help more people. And that was one of the most touching things he said to me, because he knew I had my company as a recreational therapist and as a trauma specialist, and that I'm aiming more to help people in my community, in the LGBTQ plus community. And so as we're going in and celebrating Pride, it's pretty incredible to be here now and sharing my story. And I'm excited about just letting people know that even if they've had adversity, there are ways that we can overcome them, and
Right.
we can break through our traumas and our patterns of behavior and our maladaptive behaviors, and embrace who we are and celebrate that every single day.
Right. I love I love your story, and I know that, without adversity, sometimes people, anybody who says they haven't gone through anything, I was like, man, you're either a blessed person or you've been under a rock. And I think the ones that have been through the most things are definitely the ones that come out shining, and the ones that are really out there to make an impact in the world. And I can definitely tell that that's you, Melissa.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you said, even by checking off every box, you still didn't feel like it was enough, right?
Yeah.
You had the high school sweetheart, you got married, you had the three kids, and the white picket fence and everything like that, but there was still something missing, and you were
Mhm.
bold enough to go after that and figure out what that missing link was. So kudos to
Yeah.
you for that.
It was such a fun experience, and it's weird to say it that way, but I COVID hit 3 months after I met Faith, and we learned very quickly, were we going to be a couple? And I remember Tim, he's my former husband. He was starting to date. I encouraged him, and he would like talk to us about it, and it's the coolest experience I have now, that for the man that I was once really in love with, and life happened and we grew apart, to get to see him with his new partner. She's absolutely amazing. She treats him well. She treats my kids well. When we see each other, there's a very kind interaction between us. So it just, I get to celebrate that along with Pride.
Right.
That the way we work as a society, and saying that relationships, when they break down, they have to deteriorate in this horrible manner. And that's just not true. And my
Exactly.
relationship with him and his family has proven that.
I love that, because for me, I experienced the same thing with my husband. And first of all, my brother's divorce was like, so
Mm-hmm.
I told myself that I would never, if I found a partner that had been previously married, I would never allow myself to be in that situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, oh, the ex-wife this, or the new wife this, and whatever, right? And I made a point to be very intentional about making that relationship with my now husband's ex-wife,
Yeah.
and it's for the kids, it's for the betterment of the child. So if you bring the kids into the world, why wouldn't you not want them to have a fulfilling life while they're here, instead of being miserable going parent to parent? So I love hearing those stories where people can actually be adults and
Yeah.
co-parent their children in a way that is healthy.
We just experienced a really cool transaction. So last summer, kids got to play soccer again. We would all show up at the same field. Sometimes we'd sit together, sometimes we wouldn't. But a big event just happened in our life. My 17-year-old had her prom, and we all joined in together and got basically what would be a family picture, where she's in the center, my wife and I are on one side, and Tim and his partner on the other side. And I think that's something that just really hit me, is like, we're doing this right. Our kids not only get to see us happy, but they really respect me more now for not staying. And I remember my daughter, when she's 17 now, but when she was 15, she was like, I'm so glad you left, Mom, because I get to experience you both being happy now.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really awesome feeling. I have an incredibly supportive wife that makes it easy. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, because I know it's not always easy for this community, and
no,
I gonna mess it up. It's LGBTQ. I'm gonna mess
LGBTQ2+.
Q. All right.
Plus.
Plus. All right. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't mean to be ignorant about it.
No, no, not at
It's
all.
just, and I should have known, because this is Pride Month,
Yeah.
and I should have done a little bit more research on that,
If,
to make sure that I got it right.
if it makes you feel any better, When I proposed, I did an extravagant countywide, color coordinated to the rainbow engagement scavenger hunt, and I got the order of the rainbow wrong. So please, you are okay. If I can get the rainbow wrong, you're okay.
I love that. That makes me feel a little bit better. I was sharing a story before the show of you know, embracing embracing this community, because I personally have family members that are part of the community, and they don't like to talk about it, and I
Mm-hmm.
respect their wishes and things like that, and I'm just like, you know what, let's all just love each other. and
Mm-hmm.
and one of the greatest commandments is love each other, right? and
Absolutely.
uh and it's funny because I know you had you talked about the church and things like that, and very much a woman of faith and stuff like that. And well, and then your wife's name is Faith, so there you go.
Yes.
uh and sometimes that the Christian community can make it a little bit hard on anybody, especially if they have a different
Mm-hmm.
opinion and cast judgments, and that's not what we're here about on this show and things like that. And as somebody who was going to church, living in sin apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and with a man, and basically told that I couldn't take a position within the church because there was no ring on the finger. And I was
Mm.
just like, oh, okay. If that's how you want to play it, that's okay. I don't
Yeah.
need your job.
I have a really super fun divine God experience that I want to share with you. And
Absolutely.
so in 2019, I was playing hockey with some businesswomen in Windsor, and I was drive out to Amherstburg. And one night I was with my friend Sam, and she asked me, "Hey, do you want to go grab a drink at Shooters?" And I don't drink beer, but I was like, "Sure." And she says, "Hey, Melissa, what are you going to do? Like, what's your vision for 2020?" And I said, "You know what, Sam? I'm giving it all up to the universe. I'm putting my faith in the universe, my faith in God, that my business and my personal life are going to work out."
Mhm.
No word of a lie. 2 weeks to the day, I met Faith. And I was like, well played, well played.
I love that you said that, because somebody was asking me how did I meet my husband, and this
Mm.
woman is really trying to find a man. She's discouraged, and I said, "This is what I did. I said to God, I had been on like a whole different bunch of like Christian Mingle and all those, the ones that are supposed to be, for Christian women, only
Yep.
it's successful because the men on there think that you're stupid and that you'll fall
Mm.
for anything. And so it
Mm.
doesn't matter. So anyways, long story short on that one. So I saw this post on Facebook. I was just ready to give up. And I saw Facebook of all places said Zeusk. So I signed up, and I said to God, I said, you know what? You have 3 months to find me my husband on this site.
Mm.
And I, and if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with that. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just meant to be single, but you have 3 months. I paid for 3 months. That was it. 2 weeks. That's why I get a kick out of your 2 weeks. Two
Yeah.
weeks to the day, I'm being connected with Joe. And, and I looked at his profile, and for me, I didn't want separated. I wanted I
Yeah.
wanted them either divorced or single,
Yeah.
right? And so there was a couple requirements, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the worst that could happen? Meet the guy and have another friend. That was I figured,
Yeah.
that's the worst, right? And the best case scenario, it works out. Well, it obviously worked out because the ring's on the finger.
Yeah.
6 years, we're actually 6 years together, be 4 years married this year. So
Nice.
I'm like, I love that you said that. Just put it up to chance.
Yeah.
There
And
you
it's really
go.
funny. I met Faith on Bumble. Um, and I was still unraveling my marriage. We were still trying to figure stuff out. And she's like, "I'm not dating you. You're married." And that was a clear line. And I was like, there are some times where people come in for reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And I was
Yeah.
like, what if this is my lifetime? And so I dismantled as etiquetely and with kindness and compassion and love. Um, and then started dating her shortly after. And we've been together now 3.5 years.
Awesome.
We're engaged. I don't know. We bought a house, so I don't know when we're getting married, but someday that'll happen. And we're happy. And now I get to be what I want to be. I get to be a voice for people that still feel like they're not being heard or seen, or that are still questioning.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that are terrified to come out. And for the people in our southern states, there's a lot of adversity. I'm very grateful to be in Canada right now. I'm going to Toronto Pride on the 24th. I'm going to the parade, and I get to do that. And it still comes with some nerves because there are people who are hostile that don't understand the hashtag love is love and God loves us. But I'm going to go in with celebrating my community and everything that I can be for them, but everything they've been for me over the past few years as well.
I love that. We're just going to take 1 second here for another commercial break here.
Right.
Just want to give out another shout out to our sponsor, Be Oily with Bonnie. Did you know that all doTERRA essential oils can help support the body physically, mentally, and emotionally to help you achieve optimal health? Aromatherapy is a very powerful tool for more information, contact our friend Bonnie Herb at www.beoilywithbonnie.com or give her a call or a text at 810-414-0929. All right. So I love everything that you've shared, but I really want to hear more about your business because I know like you said, we met at a networking event a couple weeks. We've been stalking each other on Facebook back and forth. And we finally got to see each other in person. And I love how you were describing it at the event. You were like, it's more than just trauma therapy and things like that. So tell us exactly what it is that you do, because I know it's a new way of
yeah. So recreational therapy has been around for 30 plus years. We're very similar to social worker and occupational therapists. In fact, I was studying to be a social worker when I came across a nurse at the hospital that said, "Hey, I think you're in the wrong field. I think you should be a recreational therapist." You don't tell a squirrel that, because then I go follow the shiny object. And I ended up deciding to redirect my education. I already had a degree, and so then I did a postgrad in therapeutic recreation. And what that looks like is we do assessments on people. We gather information on the things that you're already interested in doing. So it could be anything from the areas of activities such as sports, nature, arts and crafts, music, entertainment, social affiliation. Some people want to do adventure therapy. I have restrictions. I won't jump out of a plane. I have been asked.
Oh, come on.
That would be
cool.
And then we find the stuff that you want to really improve or remediate, and we do it together. But then after a while, I didn't feel that was enough. There was still something there, and it was the trauma of growing up in the adverse environment I did. And I remember being 14 years old, and I would take out my angst and anger and frustration on the soccer pitch. I was an all-star soccer player. I loved it, but it was my release. So fast forward and I find out, wait a minute, there's actually an organization and there's an educational pursuit that says, take the things you like and heal yourself through fun. And I was like, that was an epiphany. That was an aha light bulb. Yes. And then I did what's called traumatic incident reduction, because I'm somebody who always loves to study. Like, I get textbooks for Christmas because I'm a super geek and it makes me super happy.
I love that.
And I started learning about how our body holds on to memories and to trauma. And I started understanding the difference between a big trauma and a smaller trauma, and the difference between post-traumatic stress disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And then I started seeing how there were patterns in somebody who's experienced trauma linked to ADD, which I'm diagnosed with adult ADD, that's linked to my body ailments. I have fibromyalgia. Well, that is from the trauma I experienced in the endocrine system and how it's been transformed. And so then I really started studying some really inspirational doctors. Dr. Gabor Mate is somebody I'm very inclined to listen to and read about his work. And he talks about the link between substance use disorder and addiction and um, various maladaptive coping mechanisms, how they're linked to trauma, but that getting mindfulness, recreational therapy, activation helps improve somebody's health. So we get to the root of the cause, then we literally play to get us to establish those things like executive decision making, assertiveness, confidence, esteem, all of those things. But we can't just band-aid it. We got to get to the root of the issue in order to then open it up. I've had my younger clients tell me I'm Mary Poppins. I'm super sweet, but super mean because I literally hold you accountable. And in my company, I have two pillars. Do this for you, not for your parents, not for your spouse. Do it because you want to do better and be accountable for yourself. I give homework. I have expectations that I want you to look at certain things so that we can then reframe how you've been coping and get you in a better direction of healing.
Right. I love that. A lot of coaches that I historically that I've been with, they're very like, I'm not going to say they're in it for the money, but it's just like, oh, here's this, do this, and this should work. But I love the fact that you hold people accountable because you have a reputation to yourself to uphold, right? Because if it doesn't work, then that it doesn't reflect on you, but it does. It does, but it doesn't. Like if they do the work, then they're going to get results. But if they don't do the work, then they're not going to get results. And I love the fact that you hold people accountable for that.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that too often.
And that's the thing is you're responsible for your own work.
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened, and I think the mindset of a lot of people who have experienced trauma is they feel they get a free pass. Well, I've went through this, so therefore, and I kibosh that. You know what? I went through horrible stuff too.
Yeah.
Unimaginable if I went into the big stuff outside of that, like injuries in my family, accidents, alcoholism, generational trauma that continued, attachment issues, right?
Yeah.
From those generational traumas where things weren't getting taught properly. I'm willing to be a stand for you to eliminate those patterns of behavior, but you have to do the work. You have to say, I'm here because I want to better myself and I want to be successful.
I love that. Yes. And a lot of times I know the coach wants it more than the actual client, but I always find like if you're ready for change, then go for it. But if not, then don't bother. Don't waste each other's time.
Well, and that's why I say if you're contacting me or your family's contacting me, you have to be the one wanting to do the work. Yeah. Not because somebody has prescribed it or told you to do the work. Right. And I shared with you in the break room how I bought a house and I got back to that 9 to 5 mindset. Oh my gosh, I need this amount to make this work. Yeah. And I was miserable. I put on 30 pounds. I was working my company, teaching CPR, teaching at the college, and doing 40 hours in the registration office. And finally, I decided something needs to give. And so I'm continuing teaching at the college and running my company. But during that time where everything was so busy, I got busier with my company than I've ever been. I had one client contact me and be like, I picked up your card 2 years ago. Are you still taking clients? And I was like, I want to see what the card looks like. It might be one of the old editions. I'm not even sure. And I said, yeah. And we've been working together. And so it's that piece where they reach out and they say, I need help. And that's when it becomes really effective. And for me, I just get super geeked at helping people. Like when I say I'm a super nerd, please don't take that lightly. I absolutely am. I carry around the DSM-5 for fun. I get textbooks for Christmas. I almost cried when I thought I didn't get my textbook for Christmas, and it was a Therapeutic Rec one, a new edition that came out.
And you gotta listen how her wife, I'm not gonna say color codes, but how she coats the presents. It's freaking hilarious. And I'm not gonna give it out just in case one of your kids actually listens to this episode. But it's absolutely hilarious how her wife does it. And so kudos to her, because you would never know anyways.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. And it's fun to see her excitement when she sees me passionate and successful with my company. That's a partnership. She's taken a different route with her career right now, and she's doing amazing in that role. But it gives me the security to start growing and start putting myself out there more, so that people know other resources are out there. And just recently, I got trained in assist, because we do know, especially amongst my population, that there's a high incidence of suicide. And so it's a suicide awareness piece. And one of the documents, pamphlets they gave us, was all of the hotlines that are for people that are struggling with their mental health right now. And I'm not very tech savvy. I'm getting better at it, but I'm going to copy this link onto my company website. The way I work is, if I'm not a fit for you, I will hook you up with somebody else that will be. No worry. It's no skin off my back. But if we can get to that mindset that everyone needs help, we've all been traumatized at some point. And to argue your fact, if somebody says now they've never been experienced trauma, COVID was trauma. Everyone has experienced trauma now.
Yeah.
And so I'm very active in putting supports out there for people. I'm not the cup of tea for everyone. Trust me. I can be loud and obnoxious. I can send another service provider to you that can be an excellent asset.
I love that. We know our weakness and our strengths, and I figure we attract the right client, the right people to us by being authentically ourselves. By being fake, it doesn't do anybody any good. And then you spend decades in a job that you hate, or doing something that you hate. So may as well be yourself, be loud and proud, and just put it out there.
Yeah. And that's what when I left Reg office, I worked with a group of amazing people. It wasn't that the work was hard. It was data entry. It was me sitting still in a cubicle for 8 hours a day and them having monthly potlucks. It didn't work. I had a relationship with the office that was toxic. And so I took the leap again. I seem to be somebody who likes to put a lot of trust in my higher source. And I said, okay, I can't do this. And it was the right decision. I now wake up every day. I walk 5 kilometers every day. I work out in the afternoon. I do all kinds of things because I have to get back to being the leader in my field, the recreational therapist, the person that has worked through their trauma. And one thing I just want to clarify really quickly is when we work through trauma, it's not gone. We just learn how to work it. I will always have complex PTSD. And I'm okay with that because I know when I'm at a point where something is causing a disturbance in my well-being, I now have the tools. I'll go out on my bike. My wife will hug me. She'll be extra nourishing and nurture me. She will nourish me too with healthy food because I got into the habit of just eating a lot of junk because I was so tired from working so much. So it's all about improvement and growth.
I love that. And I know a lot of us women, especially, can identify with the last couple of minutes that you said here. Well, maybe all of it, but especially the last little bit. Those of us that are working full time, plus having a side gig, plus, and taking care of our
Hmm.
families and our homes and things like that. It's just, doing something for yourself is imperative.
Hmm.
And it's not selfish to
No.
have your self care. And you need to find what works for you. And
Hmm.
I love that. So, Melissa, where's the best place that you want people to reach out to you?
The best place right now is to reach out on my website. It's www.embracerec.com. I
Which,
have all the systems in place. So you can just book now and book a 15-minute. It's a free consult. And this is where we just understand if I'm a fit, and if I'm not, I'm going to forward you to somebody that is, because nobody needs to be waiting. I don't
yeah,
have a wait list. I'm accessible right now. And then I set you up either right there, you can book an intake right away and then decide on what your program plan is with me after that intake. So we go through, and is there trauma there, or is this recreation? Are we looking at a child who has been bullied and may have obesity concerns? I'll take you with my dog, my therapy dog, and we'll go for walks and we'll talk about nutritional habits. Or is this somebody who has anger management? They haven't been given the proper tools on how to work through things.
right.
Or is this somebody who has deep seated trauma? And I'll work with that as well.
I love that. So basically, at every area. So what are you waiting for? Get your 15-minute consultation here. Go to www.embracerec.com right now.
Mm-hmm.
Go book your consultation and get rid of not, not get rid of this everyday symptoms of living with PTSD, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
love what you said. You have tools in your toolbox that you have um, other people put in
Yeah.
theirs. And that's funny because for years I had struggled with that as well. I mean, as the queen people pleaser in my
Yeah.
family and the enabler as my mom has,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until my dad got cancer that and
Yeah.
the we were given a counselor if we so chose, and so she did a lot of good for me back then, and she goes like, "What's your self-care like?" And I said, "What are you talking about?
Yeah. And
That's
when
non-existent."
Yeah. And that's where we have to start loving ourselves. When I teach CPR, I teach about self care not being selfish. It's essential. Care
Mhm.
for yourself and then be of service is the other part of that. Other
Yes.
things I teach is when I share my toolbox, you use the tools, share them as well. Sharing is caring. And the third point that I always love to express, and it has a lot to do with mental health. I teach this when I teach CPR, I teach it at the college, and it's space and grace times two. Sometimes we meet a person and they have so much going on. You need to give space to protect your own energy. You need to give them space just so you can listen, and then give you guys each grace. Sometimes we don't have answers, especially if you're not trained in a certain area. In that grace, you get that opportunity to connect them to a professional that can help. And that's where that link will come into play, as well as my services.
I love that. Wow. So
Mm-hmm.
again, go to embracerec.com, get your 15-minute consultation today. Book right now. Go now. I just want to thank to the people that actually put in the comments. Russ, thanks for joining us. And of course, our good friend Tim. And for those of you that were shy and didn't comment, that's okay. We know you were here. And for those of you that are watching the replay, hello,
Hello.
welcome.
And happy
And
Pride, everyone. It's a
yes,
great month.
it's an amazing month. Get out there and celebrate with the community for sure. And Melissa, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming onto the show today, sharing your story, sharing your heart and soul of Embrace Rec. Definitely, I just appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And I look forward to seeing you at another event soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're just going to go to our last sponsor of the Tonight Show, the Don Graham Memorial Classic. For those of you that are golfers and have been in the space of cancer, whether you're a patient, survivor, or a caregiver, you know what it's like with with being around this crowd, how amazing it is. And so, in my dad's honor, we are going to have some fun that day. So it's August 19th. You get your golf, your cart, and a steak dinner for $100 at the Tilbury Golf Course. So we're looking for golfers. We're also looking for sponsors of the show. So if anybody of the event, we're still looking for a title sponsor and some hole sponsors and prize sponsors. Your name will be, your logo will be on our website. So, and I will be mentioning as we go along, the sponsors of the show as well, just to give an extra kudos. So if anybody's interested in that, private message me right away. We still have some availability there, and it's going to be a fun day. And I suck at golfing, but
so do I.
suck. But my dad wanted me to, every Father's Day, he wanted me to go. So I did it. And I hate it, but I did it for him.
I literally just said to Faith, we are going to do a golf date. We date. Each of us pick a different month and we go on a date. And mine is going to be August. We're going to do golf. So hopefully I can get her to go to that. We are horrible. Yes. We've never golfed together. And
well, that's okay. We'll put you with two people that do know how to golf. You'll have fun.
There we go. Exactly.
You'll have fun, and it will be, I swear to God. Okay, so my brother's the biggest redneck going. So if nothing else, we'll have fun. You'll get drunk. Everybody will be, there'll be drinks flowing. All I ask is that you drink responsibly.
Yeah.
And and we're just going to have some fun to celebrate an amazing guy. And all the proceeds are going to the Peer Support Cancer Group in Chatham, Kent, because that's where my dad lived his last dying days. And it's funny because he was born in Windsor, lived in Chatham, and so after he passed away, all of his stuff came to the Windsor homeless shelters. But the support group is back in Chatham. So for this year, anyways, we'll see what happens next year. But it's all about giving back to our community, and so yeah.
Awesome. Well, send me the link and I'll look into it, and hopefully I'll see you there.
All right. I'll be there.
Perfect.
All right, folks, stay unstoppable in all that you do. Don't forget to check us out on our Roku channel, because and this episode will be up there in a couple weeks. It takes a little bit for us to get it over to a Roku guy. So go check us out at Unstoppable Overcomers over there. Check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe our YouTube channel, which is Unstoppable Overcomers again. And if you hate audio and you just are listening and you just listen to podcasts, that's okay. We got you covered. Go over to Spotify and iHeartRadio. We're over there. Give us a review, subscribe over there too. And if you forgot all that, just DM me and I'll get you the information.
Awesome.
With that, guys, have a great evening. God bless you all.
Night.
And talk to you next.